So, as we keep an eye on the violence in Portland and across the nation, last night, former Missouri governor, once a Navy SEAL, Eric Greitens, ran toward the sound of gunfire, trying to help victims of a deadly shooting in St. Louis. He joins us live on that and an update on the case involving the couple who faced down protesters with firearms at their home. Governor, good to have you with us.
Hey, great to be on with you, Shannon. Thanks for having me.
It sounds like this situation last night. I want to read something from FoxNews.com talking about the situation in St. Louis. This was last week, before the shooting last night that you showed up at. They said St. Louis traditionally has one of the highest murder rates in the U.S. This year is shaping up to be especially deadly. The city's seen 113 homicides through Thursday. This is last Thursday, including 43 in the past 40 days, and is on pace to easily top last year's total of 194. I understand the shooting that you went to last night trying to render aid. There were 2 people who died there. What do you make of what's going on in St. Louis? And were you surprised for this to happen as you were sitting outside eating dinner?
Yeah, look, Shannon, as a Navy SEAL, this is what you expect to happen in places like Iraq and Afghanistan. But unfortunately now it's happening in places like St. Louis and in cities across the country. Last night we had semi-automatic gunfire ringing out in the daylight at a crowded intersection, at a place where people used to take their families. And as you pointed out, it wasn't just last night. The murder rate in St. Louis is up 30% this year. Children are being killed. And while this is happening, you've got leftist radicals calling for defunding the police. And unfortunately, some Republican politicians who, because of their cowardice, aren't stepping forward. And I'll tell you, just being out there last night, seeing the police officers, the firefighters, the first responders who all came to respond, it just demonstrates the courage and the common sense of these men and women who are out there on the front lines. And it's a real contrast with the cowardice and the confusion of politicians who should be supporting them but aren't.
Well, you know, mayors and governors are in really tough positions right now, and we're getting a look at Maryland Governor Larry Hogan's book, where he talks about when they dealt with the Freddie Gray and the aftermath of riots there in Baltimore in 2015. And he talks about getting a call from then President Obama. He says, "I assumed he was calling to offer federal assistance to the state of Maryland." Hogan says at that moment, "Boy, was I wrong. I'm calling to express my concern," he continued. "I'm concerned that your actions could potentially inflame an already tense environment." Hogan said at no point did he consider backing down. "He couldn't stop me. I was the governor." And yet tonight we're hearing some officials, like, for example, out in Portland, who say having federal folks on the streets here is actually inciting and making things worse. That's the very worry that President Obama had all those years ago.
Look, the dynamic that Governor Hogan is explaining is exactly right. When I was governor of Missouri, we defeated Antifa. They came here to Missouri. They promised that they were going to burn Missouri down again. And what we did was we brought a team together, and with the right kind of clarity and compassion and courage, we were very clear. We had clergy, we had police lieutenants, we brought people together, and we said everyone has the constitutional right to freedom of speech. Everyone has the constitutional right to freedom of assembly. And if you're out there peacefully protesting, the police will be out there protecting you. But we also made very clear that throwing a brick through a window is not free speech, and that if you assault a police officer, you are going to be arrested. And with that team, with that clarity, with compassion, with courage, we brought it to an end. But unfortunately, what you're seeing now is a lot of politicians who aren't taking responsibility for bringing peace. But it can be done.
All right, we're out of time. I did want to ask you about the McCloskeys, the couple there in St. Louis who defended their property. They said they were defending against trespassers, word that they could be indicted. We'll continue to follow that case, maybe have you come back when we get more developments on that. Former Governor Greitens, thank you.
Happy to. Yeah, you bet.